Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and today I'm joined by
Noah.
Steve. And we just finished playing The King's Guild, which is about collecting resources. So you've got different kinds of resources like metal and leather and wood, and some magical resources like potions and jewels and things, and using them to help send adventurers on their way. So you can see this particular adventurer is wanting to vanquish the goblin horde, but in order to do that, they need an axe, which requires 3 metal and some wood. And your guilds, effectively, so I was the Craft Collective in this case, Noah was the Mercantile Trust, and as a guild you are collecting the resources in order to craft the various weapons and armour and things that the adventurers need in order to go on their adventures. And if you manage to give them what they need, they will pay you some money for your troubles, but also when they go on the quest they bring you back some loot as a way of saying thank you. In terms of actually playing the game though, when it's your turn, you can either gather resources. You can take 3 the same or 2 different, so I could take 3 leather or maybe a wood and a leather. Or you can craft. Storage is quite important. You only have a certain number of spaces you can store these in, so that's quite restricted. You've got to be aware of that. But once you've got some resources, you can spend them. So as I say, if you have the appropriate resources, you just put them back and you take the money and you take the treasure cards. Now there's 3 kinds of treasure cards. The yellow ones typically give you money. There we go. The blue ones tend to give you resources. This is actually a relic, I'll come back to that, but there are some like this one here will give you a whole pile of resources. The red ones give you points in various ways. There were these charms, which are in the red deck typically, which just give you a fixed amount of points. But then mixed in among these 3 decks, there are other kinds of cards. So there's a bit of set collection here. If you get the different types of armour, I managed to get quite a lot of different types of armour by the end of the game, then you're going to get points depending on how many different sorts of armour you get. There's kind of utility cards, so this card will let you get a bit of money and draw another card, but then somebody else gets to pay some money in order to draw a card. So there's a few of those. So a few random things will help you in here, but essentially you're trying to get points either by getting the charms. Incidentally, the most charms at the end of the game gets an extra 3 points, or by getting the set collection to say for the armour. But the other thing you can do, having sort of equipped your adventures and gotten cash, is you can spend your money on buildings and people. Now, there's a few different types of buildings. The magic potions are quite special, and you can't actually gather the potions until you buy a magic arcanum. So that's one kind of building you might want to buy. Incidentally, you can see the buildings I bought here. I got a library, which increases my hand size. You can only hold a certain number of these cards, so that can be quite handy. But also, if you get any scrolls that you didn't use at the end of the game, like the Scroll of Wonders here, then that's giving you points for scrolls. But the people are the other thing you can buy here, and they just have a cost. You spend a 6, you're getting a certain number of points for them, and they have some kind of ability. So the smuggler lets you steal something from an opponent. The tailor makes it cheaper in terms of cloth when you're making armour. So if there's a particular type, here we go, the shield technically is a sort of armour type unit, then if it requires cloth you can make it cheaper. So the people help you in various ways. I got a lumberjack, which meant whenever I gathered I got an extra wood, so they're quite helpful. But as well as some basic spaces, you can also buy various types of rooms for them, like the barracks, the kitchen, or the Great Hall, and you're getting points. You can see if you fill them up, you're getting quite a lot of points at the end of the game here. So I got a Great Hall. I managed to fill it with my peasant, who holds resources for me, and my curator, which lets me buy relics from the discard pile, but that's giving me 11 points at the end of the game. So you want to get people and sort of fill them in rooms to get the points. Also, there's some very expensive sort of special buildings that are giving you points for set collection on the quests, if you like. So this gets me 6 points if I buy it for 17 for every set of yellow and blue symbols on the quests I completed. So these are the quests I completed throughout the game, and you can see you've got different symbols here. Incidentally, you might be wondering what the shields are. Essentially, if a quest requires 2 items, one person can do one half and they get the stuff, and then the other person can come along and they do the other half, and they would get, each people gets the separate coins, but then you're kind of sharing out the loot here. You play over a certain number of rounds effectively until you get through the deck of cards, and at the end of the game count up all your points. Most points wins. What do we think?
I enjoyed the game a lot. I think there is quite a lot of strategy to it, deciding because you can plan ahead, deciding what you're going to do, but then also you can look at other people's cards and anticipate what they're going to do, and to try and prevent them or stop them from getting the card they want. And I think the game's very good. There are a few downs about the game. For example, with 3 and 5 players in particular, you can only get either the Magic Arcanum or the Gem Workshop. You can't get both, but it means that there's 2 or 3 of the players will be competing over one of them, whereas 1 player or 2 players will have it to themselves, which does mean that those players will be at a bit of a disadvantage. And but the game's very good. I just wouldn't really go in around 5 or 6 players because I think there would be quite a lot of downtime then. 4's got a bit, but 3 to are certainly good numbers.
Okay.
Anyway.
Steve?
Yeah, I'd echo that. I wouldn't want to play for too many more players. It flowed quite well, but there's nothing to do when it's not your turn. You can have a think about what you want to buy, but you've already got the stuff. It's not like, well, if it's still there, I'll buy it. If it's not, well, okay. There is a limit to resources as well, so if they're only in the game we played with 2 players, there's a limit to how many gems and woods and bits that you've got. So sometimes you're like, right, I want to go and gather 3 wood. Oh no, I can't because other people have got it. So you kind of have to adapt your strategy there. It's nice though. There are some of these trading resources for points and coins for money and all this sort of games that just don't fit well together. This one kind of does. You've got the option to these special buildings, so the buildings at the start where you can go for, and you, as you're collecting the adventurers, you think, okay, well, what symbols have those adventurers got? I can go for that building. Or what cards, what treasures will those adventurers get me? Will they be the ones to get me the charms, to get me the points, or the relics and something like that? And there's loads of different scope for how you get those end-game points. There was loads of the special buildings we didn't buy in the game. No one filled up their board. We were quite efficient in kind of acquiring the people, and some of the little people you got to help you along the way, improve your actions. So it's not really an engine builder, but I had the Weaver and the Tanner, which meant that every time I gathered, I got an extra leather and an extra cloth, whatever resource I was gathering. So I was able to stock up, but then you've only got a limited amount of space you can put it in. So I couldn't just go mad and get tons of stuff because I didn't have the space for it. I had to make sure I buy those buildings. And some of the things you buy, you complete a quest, you got all these, you spend 4 resources to build a quest to get 5 coins back. And some of the buildings are like 18 coins. You've got to complete a lot of quests to get those special buildings. So it is, I think it's balanced very well. It's probably a bit light for what I generally like to play, but I was thinking for most of the game.
Rating?
Not something I'd ask to play again, but it is what it is, a family weight kind of resource management game with a bit of theme. It's good. I'm going to give it 6.
Okay. Noah?
8.
Okay. Yeah, I think for the right audience, they've done a really good job with this. It is definitely family weight. For heavy gamers, there's not enough here, but it's an interesting enough Euro. Steve says you are engaged thinking throughout. You tend to be looking at what other people are doing as well, always collecting that kind of resource. He's probably going to want to complete this sort of quest. Steve had a really annoying person, the Thug, was it? Who he stuck it on a particular quest, typically the ones that he knew I was wanting to complete. And every time I completed it, I had to pay him money. The Thug comes along and steals some of my money. So that was terrible, but you are paying attention to what other people are doing. So that's nice, a little bit of interaction there. But it's fairly straightforward. Get the resources, churn them out for points, completing the quests. But it's nice, doesn't take too long. I have played this with more players, and more than 4 players, there's too much downtime. So I would not recommend playing with more than 4, although it can. But 3 or 4 players is probably the sweet spot, I think, there. So I think it's very solid. As I say, with families, it's going to go down very well. I would give it 7.5. All right, thanks for watching. That was The King's Guild.